These were created to show physicians stages in the progress of smallpox. We have dermatologists come here to look at them. Remember, until fairly recently, there was no way to conduct any imaging of the body. This is one of Dr. Mutter's original specimens showing the damage that diabetes can cause. So this specimen's over 150 years old. And they're all a challenge to maintain because you can never be entirely sure what preservative fluid is in these jars. This is 100% sugar, folks. This specimen is a real human hand. You can see fingernails. Colored wax had to be injected in these blood vessels, and acids were used to dissolve the flesh that the physician didn't need for the model.
A lot of them are marked. Yeah, I wonder too, because they're so close together, even with the headstones, they're really close together. But some of them are so old you can't read them. Well, that's a whole sentence. Can you say that again? You hear that voice? What's your name, creepy voice?
I don't get freaked out very often while investigating the paranormal, but this was one of those circumstances where something was taking over our walkie-talkies while we're investigating the Green Hotel in Shafter, California, and you hear something very, very creepy come over the speaker of the walkie. Now listen to this.
Both my cameras went dead. The other one went dead.
The almost open camera.
And every time I go in this hallway,
Stuff is going off right now.
what was that just now? You didn't hear that?
Yeah. How about it, dude?
This too. Anytime anybody would ever come and stay all night here, they would absolutely wake up with people standing over them and all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm happy to see this place go, really. I have the loudest friggin' shoes on the face of the daggone planet. It's like cartoon shoes. You can't even sneak around for it. Yep, time to go. Okay, you prick! I saw you standing there. You're gonna have to leave the people alone that's tearing this place down. You're not gonna get anywhere by doing this. I gotta have a second. Okay. Oh! I know what you are. Why don't you come down into the light? Come on, I know you won't come down into the light. Come on. It was literally at the top of the stairs, like it was waiting on me to come back. That's it. I think I'm done. This is Cody.
And Eric.
We just want to thank you guys for watching our videos, and we would like to say, please support this charity. They help children all over the world, and that's why we make these videos.
Yeah. Whether you just watch the video, share it, donate, every little bit helps.
Even if you don't like our stuff, if you would support the charity, we would be very grateful to you.
Thank you.
You guys have a good one.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
So I've been an experienced paranormal investigator for the past 7 years. I've mostly visited locations in Virginia because that's where I reside. But the majority of my crazy experiences come from St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia. You see, from time to time, I am actually a volunteer there. I help out with the paranormal investigations. I help out with the haunted house they have every season. And things get pretty wild up there. But my craziest experience that no one ever believes when I tell them is of when I first started back in 2017. You see, I've always been really sensitive to energy, whether it's, feeling how other people feel without really even looking at them, but being in the same vicinity as them, as well as unexplained things. But even with all that, I was still pretty skeptical of the paranormal when I first started. In fact, when I had visited St. Albans Sanatorium for the very first time, I was actually going for a history tour. I mean, granted, it was both a history tour and a paranormal investigation, but I was more psyched about the history tour than the investigation. You see, I wanted to gather the information while I was there, so I didn't really research the paranormal side of things before I went. Like, I didn't read up on any of the stories online. I didn't really read up on any of the history. Like, I wanted it to be a fresh, knowledge thing for me. And when I went on this history tour, I actually found out that the place has a really deep, dark history. So it actually started off with it being a very high conflict area between Native Americans and European settlers. And then later on, it went on to be a boys' school from 1892 to 1911. And you see, back then, it was one of the highest known schools for their academics and athletics. So there was a lot of pressure put on the boys, and there was a lot of bullying and sewer slides. And then in 1916, it transformed into a sanatorium. And back around that time, healthcare was, it was very brutal mentally on patients. There were a lot of practices that, we look at today and we think, what the heck? Why did we ever do that to people? I mean, there were things like electroshock therapy, lobotomies, insulin coma therapy, as well as many unknown experimental treatments. And over time, St. Albans Sanatorium had gained a very infamous name because of how they treated their patients. And as a result, they ended up closing in the 1990s. Now back to my story. Sorry, I love to info dump. You see, on sites like that for the paranormal, typically with history and paranormal tours, they will let you walk around and get a sense of the environment before they tell you what happened. And there was a story of this woman named Rebecca that was sent to the sanatorium by her husband. There's a lot of speculation that he had dumped her there because she had gotten pregnant. Well, time went by and Rebecca, she found out she was pregnant and, she's getting further and further along. And she gave birth, and unfortunately it was a stillbirth. And after she had delivered her stillborn baby, she had put it in a jar and kept it in a little cubby in her closet where no one could find it. Eventually, people around her, patients, the orderlies, they found out about it and they took her baby away from her. And that only caused her to spiral into a suicidal event. Now, when I had went up to Rebecca's room, I did not know about Rebecca. I didn't know her story. I didn't know it was her room. But I immediately sensed it. As a mom myself, as someone who's been through pregnancy loss, I've noticed I can sense that energy around me. I stepped foot into her room, and I kid you not, I felt nothing but complete sorrow throughout my entire body. It honestly felt like I was going through my own personal experience of pregnancy loss again. I stepped foot into her closet, and I started weeping. And everyone around me, when we were, going in that room, all they heard from me was, I just want my baby back. I don't remember any of this. I don't remember saying, I just want my baby back. But I do remember the pain I felt every time I walked into a room, especially my very first time walking into her room. Granted, my experience wasn't some way out there experience. It was more of a personal experience for me. But when I tell it to people, no one ever believes me. And now every time I visit, I take Rebecca flowers and a little teddy bear. And I sit down and talk to her for a little bit, and we share that burden together. Granted, now I don't burst out into tears every time I go into a room now. It's more or less like I know she's there. I can feel her pain, but I also feel comfort among it.